Hello, and welcome back to the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. I'm debuting a new shirt today, if you're going to see this on video, so I'm very excited about that. And to be doing it with Doris. And Doris is my next guest, has an incredible story. Were you a gifted kid, Doris?
I was a gifted kid. I was in a gifted
Okay.
program.
So she, like me, is a recovering gifted kid. We did really good in school, and then we got out of school, and then stuff happened, and then life hit us in the face, and it wasn't like gifted classes anymore.
Yeah.
So Doris, please take it away. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your story, and now who you help now.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so I'll start with who I am. I love to introduce myself in two different ways because I think sometimes people get caught up in their titles. And
Mm-hmm.
so they don't realize that they're telling people what they do instead of who they are. So, who I am, I'm a mom to four. I have the unique parenting journey of I have a 20-year-old, but I also have a senior in high school, a sixth grader, and a kindergartner.
Oh
So I
wow.
have children at all the different stages of life, all at the same time. So I think that's pretty cool. So I'm a mom to four. I'm a wife to my college sweetheart. We've been together now about 22 years. Um, and so you hear a little bit about that in my book, Raising Justice. I am a daughter. I'm the sister, and I am most importantly a friend. I think that that's one of my best qualities that I've never met a stranger, and I kind of just befriend anyone. So that's a little bit about who I am. And what I do is I'm a leadership coach and management consultant. And so I'm a full-time entrepreneur now, and I love the fact that I get to partner with not only executives and leaders, but also corporations to help them build high accountability, high morale environments and really help them through some of their people problems. So if they're dealing with conflict in the business, maybe there's gossip going on, or perhaps their team doesn't know how to hold others accountable, or they're struggling with the morale of the business, or they want to grow their emotional intelligence. I'm someone that they can partner with to bring in, and I don't not only teach the team maybe in a workshop, but I do group coaching or team coaching, or I partner one-on-one with executives and directors and middle managers and help be a thought partner to them. And so that's a little bit about who I am and what I do currently. Um, a little bit about my journey, I guess. I became a full-time entrepreneur over the last 2 years. So I've been in this business full-time 2 years. I've had the business for about 5 years. I worked in corporate America for the last 20 years. I try not to refer to it like I did time, but sometimes corporate America feels like you did your time.
Yeah.
So I did about 20 years in corporate America before deciding that I want to support corporate America. I don't necessarily want to be in the infrastructure of it. And so that's why I grow my business where I get to support not only small, but medium and large size companies, but I'm not necessarily inside the infrastructure anymore. And so that's a little bit about me.
I love that. No, that is just fantastic. That is awesome. So tell us about your journey. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You mentioned your book, so like let's dive into that and tell me all about how it came to be.
All right. So Raising Justice literally started as journal entries. And so when my daughter was younger, so a lot of people are like, okay, raising justice, like what is it? The title is twofold. Number one, my child name is actually Justice, and so it's quite literal. This book talks about my journey into motherhood. I often tell people that motherhood was my first leadership position because sometimes I think we don't think of moms as necessarily leaders, especially as it translates into the workplace. And I'm here to tell you, well, I became a mom at 19, and it definitely was, well, actually at 20, I was pregnant at 19. But it was definitely my first leadership position, and a lot of things I learned in motherhood, I was able to transfer into the workforce. But about justice, or how the book came about, I started journaling really some of the funny things that she would do as a child and some of the ways that she would challenge me as a mom. So the book really tells the story. It starts with me as a 19-year-old, high performing, high achieving, on full scholarship, first person in the family to graduate high school and go to college. And then I find myself pregnant my sophomore year of college. And I contemplate whether I'm going to continue this pregnancy. So first chapter begins in front of what I thought was an abortion clinic. And I love to tell people the beginning of the story and the ending of the story. And then the story ends with me sitting exactly 19 years later, me sitting at the graduation of the child that I thought that I wouldn't have. And at the same age that I was when I was contemplating having her. And so I raised Justice to now become a high performing teenager who graduates college at the age of 19. And so you really get to hear this full circle moment of I am someone who, I grew up in the inner city, Miami, Florida. If you're familiar with the First 48 show, a couple episodes in the neighborhood I grew up in. And, I get the dream of going off to college on full scholarship, and then I find myself in this predicament. And I tell pretty much the stories of me enduring and being resilient, but also how I learned how to parent in a way that I wasn't parented. And so I think this book is really important to not only the testament of resiliency or overcoming, but that mother-daughter relationship thing that kind of happens.
Mhm.
And we talk about how do you build those close relationships and connections. And so you get to hear those different type of strategies through Justice and I's journey. And again, my favorite part of the book is at the end to know that this child who maybe didn't come into the best of circumstances, or me who didn't come from the best of circumstances, not only makes it to a director level position of a major corporation, a national brand, but also I do this while building my family, while having a great relationship with my daughter, and then while seeing her graduate college at the age that I was contemplating even having her. So it's a pretty cool story.
That's an amazing story. Coming around full circle.
Yeah.
Around that age, I got pregnant, but I miscarried. And so my book actually starts where with that day when I got that news. That's like the first chapter,
Oh
and
my God.
what happened since then. So I that's an amazing parallel right
It's the
there.
same, yeah, this is the same parallel. It starts literally the day I find out. So that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I resonated with that. And then when you mentioned about Miami, I'm like sometimes I've told people like like Grand Theft Auto, there's like a Liberty City.
I
That's
grew up in
that's where
Liberty
I live
City.
there. That I live right near there. I can see Liberty City from my house. Yeah. So yeah, so like I know all about Miami and all the different parts because it's so varied. Like there's so much variety in Miami. There's so many different pockets. And it's so different now, like now we've got historic Overtown,
Yeah.
and they're building out Coconut Grove, and and things are just
Oh my
changing.
God, the way Overtown is right now is just still amazes me because I grew up
Yes.
in the different parts of Miami as well. So I lived in Brownsville, I lived in Little Haiti, I lived by Alapata, I lived in Overtown. Like so I lived in all those different intricacies of Miami. And so it's interesting when I go back to see how much it developed. And so I lived in Brownsville, but I went to school in Coral Gables. So I
Oh, wow.
thought, yeah. And then at one point I lived like right by Northwestern. And so I would catch the bus down to the Metro Rail, then catch the Metro Rail, and then walk to Coral Gables High every day to be in the IB program. But my home
That's so
school was
cool.
Miami Northwestern. And so, yeah, being from Miami, you understand the intricacies of what that life is and what that experience is. And so, yeah, that's where I grew up.
Yeah, yeah. I went to
Mhm.
Southwest, so you went to Northwest, and I went to Southwest.
Oh,
So
okay,
like
gotcha.
opposites, yeah. But that's really cool, yeah. And like the food down there though, like now, like you go down there, the food, oh my God, the
It's
Haitian food.
unmatched. It's
Oh, it's so
unmatched.
good. Yes, 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 yes. So you find all these little pockets and these little restaurants, and it's just different than anything else you can find in Miami, So
Oh
it's
God,
fantastic.
I was telling someone the other day, I'm saying like you can go on Cayocho and like literally you
Yes.
can find whatever you want, like from Venezuela. They just think Spanish food. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not just
No.
Spanish food. You got a Venezuelan, you got Colombian, that there's Mexican, like that's all different. The Cuban, like that's
The
different.
Cubans with the corner windows.
Yeah, so I would say that's probably what I miss the most about living in Miami. is the food.
Yes. Yeah, like it's, that's one of the best things, just the different. I love it.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that was like a nice little trip down memory lane. So thank you
Yes.
for that.
No problem.
So talk to me a little bit about that journey of overcoming yourself. You were a gifted kid, you were
Yeah.
straight A student, you go to college and then you end up pregnant. That's probably not what you were expecting to happen.
No, it wasn't a part of the plan. It definitely wasn't a part of the plan. And I think it grew me up in a lot of ways. And I think one of the things, there's about two things that in your journey to being, I guess, like a full, mature, and authentic adult, you kind of go through. And I think I went through it a little bit early because of that situation. But one of them is getting over what people think of you when you find yourself pregnant, at 19, and again, I probably did more mental damage to myself than anybody else did because I was so ashamed, so embarrassed. I felt like I had disappointed my family. And I carried that with me. But the first lesson that I had to learn was how to get over myself, right? And sometimes it takes people a lot longer. So I had that lesson at 19, 20, like, well, get over what other people think of you, right? And what that then does is it releases you from people pleasing. And so I meet people to this day, they're in their 30s and their 40s and they still haven't overcame people pleasing.
Mhm.
And it's a struggle for them. There's things that they are going through because they haven't understood how to stop that behavior. And so one of the things that I was able to learn very quickly, and I'm so grateful that I was able to get those lessons early on because it allowed me to soar in my career, is I was already over what people think and I was already over people pleasing through that experience. And so that really, really helped me as I made my journey into corporate America. Because you have to find a good balance in order to survive there
Yeah. Yeah.
of that. So yeah. And I went through
And
another iteration later on in my career
mhm.
when I exited corporate America where I had to overcome myself again. And it was, how do you define success? So most of my life, I defined it by the standard that was put before me. If you had a college degree, if you were, married, like just the different things. If you bought a home, if you have a certain amount of money in the bank. And so those were all the things that I used to define success. And as I matured and growed, and my title was really important to me at one point in my life. And now I got I'm senior director of leadership development and all this big stuff, and the company car and the black card and just all these different things. And I felt like, oh man, this is success. And then COVID happens. I find myself hospitalized for 7 days. I
Wow.
find myself on oxygen treatment for 3 months. And in the stillness of that experience and in the quietness of that experience, and really thinking about, man, you almost left here. Have you really done the things that you wanted to do in this life? Are you really successful? And it's like, yeah, I'm successful in the eyes of a lot of people. I got the title, I got the six-figure salary, I own a home, I'm married, I have all these things. But internally, I wasn't successful because I had started writing my first book at 15. And I started 10 books and had never completed one.
Wow.
I never completed one. I knew that I was supposed to be coaching other people and helping them to start their businesses or refine and scale their businesses, but I wasn't out there doing that. And so what success looked like for me it began to shift. And then I had to again remind myself it's not about what everybody else thinks. It's not about what everybody else thinks success is. It's about what I think success is. And so, yes, I've checked all those boxes and I'm about to give it all up to go after what I think success is. And right now, success is not only wealth, but it's flexibility and it's freedom. And so I walked away from all of it. And some days I'm still feeling like a crazy person. Um, but I walked away from all of it to do success on my terms. And I have the flexibility now to get my kid off the bus stop where my other three kids, they all only knew after school programs or daycares until 6. But, my last child gets to see me every day at 3 o'clock, when they get off the bus. Like that's success to me now. So I think that's the other part of overcoming yourself. How do you define success? Is it through your lens or is it through the lens of what the world has told you? And I think for a long time in my life, it was through the lens that the world had told me. And now it's through my own lens. And I'm grateful for that.
I love that. I love that so much. I wrote an article about people pleasing in Authority magazine recently,
Wow.
and yeah, thanks. And then one of the things I talked about was I heard a quote once, someone said it to me that like if you're on a fence
Mhm.
and you're leaning on going towards the left, everyone on the right is going to criticize you. And then if you're leaning towards going to the right, everyone on the left is going to criticize you. But if you stay on the fence and you don't go either way, both sides are going to call you lazy and indecisive. So you can't win. So
It's
just do
so
whatever
true.
you want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I love that. I love that. And speaking of which, as we're wrapping up here, one of the things that I talked about when we are trying to overcome people pleasing, we're setting boundaries, we're doing all these things, is practicing gratitude so that we can feel grateful for ourselves, we can value ourselves, and that building our self-confidence is going to make it easier to set those boundaries because make saying yes just doesn't make sense anymore. You're just like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to do that, you know? So can you talk to me a little bit about the role that gratitude has played in this journey for you?
Wow. Great question. And I think gratitude has been important at every stage of the journey. Um, because I have to strike a balance. I'm naturally an ambitious person.
Mhm,
And I think gratitude keeps me humble.
mhm,
Gratitude allows me to live a little bit in the moment. When you're a person that, I focus a lot in the future. I'm always planning. I'm always looking at what's the next thing to do. Because part of my job for so long was to goal set for my team. So
mhm.
it's like we got to make this quarter, and then we make the quarter. Well, the next quarter is here. We got to make this quarter too. And so when you live in a space where you're always having to achieve a goal or meet a metric, you really stay rooted and always looking forward. But I think gratitude is that tool that keeps you present because it makes you step back and look at what you have now. And so I think gratitude has been instrumental in finding balance as I've been on this journey. So although I was working in college and wanting that degree. Gratitude allowed me to appreciate every single semester that I passed, until I got to that degree. And then once I got that job, gratitude allowed me to be grateful for the position that I was in, even though I was going for the next position. So I think gratitude is important in finding that balance and really being able to lock in happiness as you are going through this journey of life.
I love that. I love that. And I think it's important how you mention it because in my book I talk about it as well. It's not about being grateful and that's it. I'm done. I'm grateful for what I have and
It's
that's
not
it.
about complacency. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's about finding that joy, learning to live in joy,
Yeah.
enjoying the moment, but we're still working towards that next thing.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying what I have now,
Yeah.
but I'm still working towards that other thing. So I think that's really important because sometimes I talk about gratitude and people are like, no, but it's not, you can't just be complacent. I'm not talking about being complacent.
No, that's different. That's different.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for where I am right now because I can't, like, if I want $1 million and $1 million over there, but I'm not being grateful for what I have now, well, how are you going to feel grateful for when you get to 1 million?
Yeah,
Because it's exactly
exactly.
what you said. You get to 1 million, you're like, great, I made 1 million. Now it's 5 million. Now it's
Yeah,
10
yeah.
million. Now it's 100 million. And
Yeah.
then you're always just moving that goalpost. So that's such a big deal. I love
Yeah,
that.
no, it's so important to balance. You got to manage the gratitude with the ambition, or literally you will always be dissatisfied. Always. You don't.
Yes, that is such a big key. Yeah, because what's the point of having all that stuff if you're not satisfied? Like we are
Exactly.
you're miserable, like you're just, oh, I don't like these people, I don't
Yeah.
like this house, I got all this stuff, but I'd rather be doing this. Well, why didn't you do that?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. So
right?
gratitude helps you to manage that. If you can
Yes.
find that level of gratefulness and appreciation for the things that you have while you're on the journey or while you're on your way to the ultimate goal, then you really have great balance as you're moving along.
I love that. I love it, love it. Now, how can we stay in touch with you, Doris?
Oh man. All right. So I have a couple of different ways you can stay in touch with me. So the easiest way is my website. It's my name, DorisJacksonShazier.com. And that's my author page. I also have a website, Chazier Coaching Consult. And that page is pretty much if you want my business services. I have my team on there. And really, if you're looking for your team to be inspired, if you're looking for a guest speaker to come in and maybe do a team building exercise or help you with a people problem on your job, Shazier Coaching Consult is the best. You can still get me at DorisJacksonShazier.com. You'll see more of personal aspects and about my books on that website, my name. Social media, I'm all over it. So hit me up on LinkedIn. Please connect at Doris Jackson Shazier, but also Shazier Coaching Consult on Facebook or Instagram will connect you directly to me. My name is also for TikTok, Doris Jackson Shazier. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. So definitely lots of different ways to connect. I also have a YouTube page. So definitely you can throw my name in, Shazier Coaching and Consulting, and I'm on YouTube as well.
Awesome. And all of those links, as you mentioned, will be down in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out where they are. They're down there. And you mentioned that you had a special gift that you're working on for the audience. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so what you'll be able to see is when you go to my website, you'll have to enter your email address, but you will receive an ebook. And so the book is about how do you lead and love Gen Z? It's the hot topic right now, at least in the corporate space, is our Generation Z is coming into the workforce and they're coming in with just a different personality to work with. And so people are always like, oh, they're this way, they're entitled, they don't get it. Well, here's the thing. Not only do I've had a chance to manage Gen Z, but I live with Gen Z. And so I created a small little ebook with some tips on how do you lead and love them. They're different, but really there is a way to get extract the best out of them, and it's in how you lead and love them. And so I'm going to give my take on the best things to do, how to listen to them properly, how to coach them in the best way. And so I wanted to share that. So email address, and then you get your free link to check out how to lead and love Gen Z. Also, if you're on my website, Raising Justice is there. It's also available on Amazon. And then my second and third book will drop at the same time. It's called Pieces to Peace, How I Overcame COVID and Corporate. And I talk to leaders about how do you navigate, thrive, and heal from toxic work environments. So it's a pretty good book that's going to be dropping as well.
That is amazing. And yes, the cool thing about Gen Z, the problem with Gen Z that from the articles that I've read is that they do not put up with the old tactics.
They don't,
It's not going to
not
work.
at
You are going
all.
to have to level up because they do have very high expectations. But it's a good thing, right? Because they're like, I'm not doing all these things that my grandparents did, and you use them. Like that's not going to happen with me. And
Yeah.
so I love them for that.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I admire Gen Z. It's now about teaching them the balance because
Yeah.
also the thing that I find with Gen Z is sometimes they think everything is toxic. And I'm like, no, that's just work. Like that's not toxic. That's what having a boss is. Like
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
so
No,
how
that
do we
there's that
level set
balance.
expectations for them? And so
Yeah,
yeah, I talk a little bit about that in the ebook on how to build better relationships with Gen Z so that you can get the best out of them. But I
yes,
think they're going to be they're one of the coolest generations out there as far as their awareness and their ability to stand up for themselves.
yes, 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 yes. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much, and I think that's just such a fascinating topic. So that is amazing. So, last tip,
Okay.
big tip. What is a big takeaway? Like, what's that tip that you give your clients or the advice that gives them the biggest aha moment?
Ooh, I feel like I give a lot of good advice. No, I'm just here's what's just came top of mind for me today. I love to remind people to stay curious and suspend judgment. I think sometimes, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in friendship, whether it's in relationships, in families, sometimes we're not curious enough, meaning we don't ask enough questions. We lead with assumption, like we tell the whole story in our head, right?
Mhm.
So we don't ask enough questions. And then we're rushed to judge, like we're rushed to put a label on it or assign something to it. Stay curious, just ask questions, seek to understand, but then also suspend judgment. Let it play out. See where the person is coming from with that. Don't feel the need to kind of put a button on something. And so I try and practice that. I ask a lot of questions. I like to tell people I have a high level of intellectual curiosity. It just means I'm nosy. I just found a fancy way to say it.
I
I ask
love that.
a lot of questions, so I stay curious, and then I suspend judgment. I wait before I assign judgment to a person. I want to hear the full story. I want to know where you're coming from with that. And I stay in a place of understanding. So stay curious and suspend judgment.
I love that. I love that. Like that trend. We listen and we don't judge,
We
right?
listen and we don't judge.
Yes. So that's what I thought of when you said that. So yes. So I think that's such great advice. Listen, don't judge, ask questions. And it's so true because most like even like movies and stuff, right? TV
Huh?
shows, what is the problem? The crux of the problem, 99% of the time, it's communication issues,
It's the miscommunication.
right?
They assume you were doing that
Yes.
because you were trying to da da da. Nobody said they were doing that. Like
Yes.
you said
Yes.
all of that.
And fights too, like in our
Yeah,
families, a kid
yeah.
is like, I'm doing this, and you assume, oh my God, you're gonna go with no parents. Who said that?
Who
Like,
said that?
their parents invite me. So yeah, so I love that. I love that. So stay curious, guys. This has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for being here with us, Doris. And we will see you guys next time on the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Bye.
Thank you.